Year of 1372. Location: a walled town in England. Before dawn, the world is still cloaked in night as Thomas the baker stirs beneath a coarse wool blanket in his loft above the shop. A faint chill clings to the stone walls, and the smell of flour and old smoke lingers in the air. The cock has yet to crow, but Thomas is already rising. He moves quietly so as not to wake his wife, Marjorie, and their small daughter who sleeps beside her. He dresses simply: woolen tunic, leather belt, worn boots, and descends the creaking ladder into the bakery below. It is cold, and the oven, a great stone beast built into the back wall, sits dormant and black. Thomas kneels before it and begins his first task: lighting the fire. This is no simple chore. He arranges twigs and logs carefully, coaxing a flame with flint and steel. It must burn strong enough to heat the oven walls for hours, and he must time it just right so that when the dough is ready, the oven will be. 2. The flame crackles. Sparks rise into the chimney. A new day has begun. Mixing the dough with the fire lit, Thomas begins the mixing of the dough. He lifts the heavy flour sacks brought from the town mill, ground just the day before from wheat grown on the Lord's estate. He pours it into a massive wooden trough, then adds water drawn from the town well, and salt from the local trader. The final ingredient is the leaven, a carefully saved portion of fermented dough from the previous day, alive with wild yeasts, passed down like treasure. As he kneads, his hands move in rhythm: push, fold, turn, press. He murmurs a quiet prayer under his breath, a habit he's kept since his days as an apprentice. His arms ache from the effort, but he doesn't pause. The quality of the bread depends on this step. Outside, a dog barks, a shutter creaks open. Dawn is coming, rising and shipping as the dough rests and rises near the warm hearth. Thomas takes a moment to sharpen his bread stamp. Every baker must mark their loaves by law to prove weight and identity. His is a simple T-shaped symbol. Marjorie appears, rubbing her eyes, and begins tending to the small shop window, sweeping the front step, preparing coin change, and boiling water for pottage. Back at the dough trough, Thomas begins shaping the loaves: small round ones for commoners, larger oval loaves for merchants, and a few long ones for the manor house. Some are made of rye and barley, some of wheat, depending on the buyer's coin. He dusts each one with flour and presses his seal into the tops. Firing the oven is ready. Thomas shovels out the embers, leaving only the radiant heat trapped in the thick walls. He tosses in a handful of flour. The color of the burn tells him if it's hot enough. Then, with a long-handled peel, he slides the loaves in row by row, each spaced perfectly. The door is closed. Now, he waits. This waiting is anxious. Too hot, and the bread will burn. Too cool, and it will come out doughy. But Thomas knows his oven. He's worked with it for over a decade. As the aroma of baking bread fills the shop, the first townsfolk begin to arrive. The morning rush be sunrise. There is a line at the door. A farm boy with muddy boots, clutching to copper coins. A merchant's wife with a fine wool cloak, asking for white bread. A group of children giggling, waiting for leftover crusts. Bread is not a luxury, it is life. A worker may earn 4 pennies a week and spend half of it on bread. Thomas serves them all. He is fair. For the poor, he sells coarse brown bread, made from lower-grade grains. For the wealthy, he reserves the whitest loaves, sifted and clean. He weighs each one on a balanced scale. Cheating in weight is punishable by pillory or worse. His daughter, barely 7, helps wrap the loaves in linen and takes them to the shop window, where Marjorie greets each customer with a practiced smile. Midday, peace be late morning, most of the bread is sold. The shop is quiet again. Thomas eats a simple lunch: cheese, onion, and a crust from yesterday's batch. He washes it down with small beer, barely fermented ale, safer than water. A monk from the abbey comes to collect loaves for the friars. Thomas bows respectfully. Religion plays a powerful role in the town, and his offerings to the abbey earn him favor. Then it is time for deliveries: one to the blacksmith's family, another to the castle steward. These are regular clients who pay monthly, in both coin and favors. On his way, Thomas stops by the market square. A juggler is performing. A town crier is shouting news of war. In France, a woman is selling honey cakes, the scent competing with his own. Evening preparations be sunset. The fire has long died down. Thomas returns to the bakery and begins cleaning, scraping ash from the oven floor, washing the troughs, brushing flour from every corner. It must be clean. Rats and spoilage are the enemies of every baker. He sets aside tomorrow's starter dough, keeping it warm by the fire's last embers. Marjorie counts the day's coins. Not bad enough to pay the flour man, with a little left over for woolcloth and some dried apples. The family eats a modest supper and listens to a local tale told by a neighbor, one about fairies stealing milk, or a ghost seen near the church. The child dozes by the fire. Nightfall as night blankets the town. Thomas looks out the window one last time. The stars glitter above the rooftops. Somewhere, a dog howls. The village sleeps. He climbs the ladder to bed, already thinking of tomorrow's dough. Because in a medieval town, the sun may rise late or early, but the baker is always first to greet it. And the rhythm of bread making timeless, warm, and honest goes on.